Hey guys, so there is a lot to talk about with this chapter. First thing being that immediately following Luffy's assault, he pretty much falls into his weakened state from very much overexertion. And when it comes to stuff, honestly, when that's the one part of Gear 4 I've always been mixed on because when it comes to stuff like that, I always feel like it's the one thing where okay, this kind of even though it is a limitation that's required for Luffy's power, and I got that part of it. It always has kind of felt like a reason in order to draw up the conflicts, which is the reason as to why Dressrosa is not necessarily one of my favorites because of that. Like Gear 4, it works in practice, but the limitation it is weird as well. Um, but having said that, I think this is one time where the limitation of Gear 4 really works to its advantage. However, because it in this situation it does take Luffy out of the fight in order to put everyone else in the spotlight for a bit. But even but but honestly, I think once one thing I think this is also setting up with Luffy is that once he does recover, we might potentially see him activate Gear 5 because not only does that feel like the logical next step since I think Gear 4 has done all the damage it can do to Kaido right now, but Gear 5 is more than likely the pretty much form that Luffy has created when that Luffy created during his training with Row. Like I think Gear 5 is the is the technique that incorporates the most amount of Row and his mastery of the emission aspect of it. Like yeah, I think with I think it is more than likely that Gear 5 is going to be the technique that takes Kaido down because of how it will probably incorporate Luffy's training. And I think we can agree that Luffy is going to need Gear 5 or even just Row in general right now because even though we only see the silhouette of Kaido, silhouette of the form, we see in this chapter that Kaido has basically gone into his full-on hybrid form. Now, which was obviously expected to happen, but this to me also illustrates the biggest flaw in the battle strategy of Luffy's group, which is on top of the fact that when you get down to it, they were really just trading blows. I feel the focus this entire time has been on the wrong emperor. I mean, don't get me wrong. Kaido is still a threat, and he obviously is even more of a threat. Well, pretty much now that he's in his like his human beast form or hybrid form, whatever you want to call it. But when you get down to it, in the situation beforehand, when this fight first began, and when you really get down to it, in terms of like Kaido's beast form, unless he wraps himself around you and constricts you in his dragon form, his abilities are manageable and easy to overcome. Like I'm sorry that pisses people off when I say that, but it is true. In his beast form, Kaido Prince Kaido is kind of still weirdly enough at his weakest when he's in his beast form. But Big Mom, on the other hand, has proven this entire battle to be the biggest obstruction for Luffy and his group, proving which again goes to prove my point that in order to truly win this, they needed to take her out first and then collectively focus on Kaido. But now with Kaido in his hybrid form, I feel this creates an equal opportunity problem for everyone and not only just because Luffy's out of commission, but also because Kaido is now perfectly aware Zoro is using Oden's Enma sword. And I'm not saying that there aren't opportunities still available, but now with them staring down both Kaido's human beast hybrid form and Big Mom who's still perfectly primed in order to fight, yeah, they need to be precise and very fucking strategic about this because again this kind of again goes to something I said before that yeah this pretty much was the point where the script completely flipped on them. Like I think they just completely miss. I think they I think Luffy and his group just completely misread this situation. I think this entire time that they've kind of been treating Big Mom with kid gloves. I think that they pretty much saw her as the weaker of the two, but Big Mom's kind of proven to be proven to be kind of unequal footing with unequal footing as far as a threat. So yeah, I think so. Yeah, they're gonna have to be extra careful now because they're staring down two giant. They're staring down two juggernauts in power now. Um, now, I guess one thing worth mentioning, and this was something brought up by a recent small AniTuber I've become acquainted with, about the possibility that last chapter Zoro might not have actually missed, and that he might have actually got a hit in on Kaido. And honestly, I'm not entirely against the idea, especially considering that there were aspects to this chapter that almost did make it seem like Kaido was going on the defensive. Now, that probably could have also just been because of the combination of Zoro's Dragon Twister and Luffy's multiple punches. But in either case, I feel one thing that should be noted between like last week's chapter in the fight and this, and honestly just this fight as a whole, is that I is that is that even though like everyone is going in on Kaido and aren't doing any like substantial damage, one thing I think that was worth noting is that I think it was a passing line from I think it was Killer or something that said that Kaido's scales are coming off. So that in itself proves that they are actually chipping away at Kaido, even if they aren't doing any substantial damage. And if they can hold out long enough and to keep chipping away at him, it will get to a point where Kaido will pretty much be vulnerable enough in order to be taken down by pretty much a good amount of pretty much Row. Now, having said that, that's pretty much all determinant on. Now, having said that, again, with Kaido in his man beast form or hybrid form, it's all determinant on pretty much how long the group can pretty much hold on until Luffy pretty much gets back to pretty much full strength. Like a lot of this battle right now, it hinges on pretty much how long that everyone can hold out until Luffy's back up and running, or pretty much how much or how and or even how much longer that from Zoro can keep chipping away at Kaido himself too. It's like with Luffy out, Zoro is kind of the only one who can continuously chip away at Kaido right now. So let's just hope he can survive long enough as well. With that said, though, let's talk about Ciphor, Pole, Aegis Zero, because we get a lot more with them in this chapter, and their conversation is ominous enough on its own. But if I was able to dissect little bits and pieces of it, it sounds like this battle became just from the way they talk. It sounds like this battle became pointless, regardless of the outcome, because whoever wins is gonna fall victim to whatever trap Ciphor Bowl has laid on the island. But even more so than that, I feel whatever Ciphor Bowl is doing on this island, and whatever their plan involving Wano itself is, I think it will boil down to one of two factors. Either it will lead to the island's destruction via Buster Call, or a mass lockdown that designates Wano as a danger zone, kind of in the same way of what happened to like Punk Hazard or Flavance. Because the one thing right now, I think that Ciphor Pole Zero, and the government is very keen on doing on Wano right now, and the one thing they want to prevent more than anything else in this situation is not so much Wano opening itself up to the world, but the reasoning as to why they're doing it and what kind of information gets leaked out, like say information or a message having to do with a certain Void Century, Joy Boy, or both. Like since Joy Boy and the Void Century are connected. But yeah, so whatever the plan is to open up Wano's borders on Yamato's end, it's better be a quick, almost instantaneous thing with instantaneous thing without any loopholes to exploit. Because Cypherpole is going to try to prevent anything substantial from happening at any cost, because as they also say, the world government has been pushed to desperation. So that just shows how much they're trying to stifle the inevitability just to gain control over the situation right now. And yeah, I think so. Yeah, like Yamato and Momonosuke, they need to be careful right now because the shadow of the government is kind of looming on them right now, I think. Um, Also, a bit of a side note, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I thought it was absolutely hilarious seeing that solitary panel of Orochi's lifeless head just lying there while Cypherpole is discussing the situation. Like it's one of those times when you play a moment so straight, it's absolutely hilarious. Like just thought I'd mention that. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Control. Dead Knight of Enemy, shining off. Later, guys.